All right, welcome to a special ESR interview podcast. I'm here with Dale Smith. Those of you may know him from the track. Those of you may also own his products from the 3D Speed rigs. And we're here primarily to talk about those. So Dale, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All right, so the first question I have here is, why did you build the first 3D Speed sim rig? And tell us that story, basically.
The driving factor in my desire to build my own racing rig was a couple of fold. I wanted the features that I wanted on my rig, where I wanted them, and wanted it to fit me. And I also wanted it to look nice, a little bit more of a showpiece when friends stop over to say hi.
All right, we kind of went through a lot of this question, but I was going to ask, what are your underlying design considerations for the 3DS Speed line? And also, just because it's an interesting question, why did you choose wood as the material as opposed to metal or PVC piping?
Well, we all know that when we're looking and shopping for different products, it's really hard to find exactly what you want. When I was surfing the web looking for the racing rig that I wanted to buy, I couldn't find anything that really fit everything that I wanted in a racing rig. And that was the main reason I went off and designed my own, because that's what I do for a living, is I'm a 3D math modeler and designer. So I started to figure out the kind of features that I wanted on my rig, and one of them being a self-contained unit, because I didn't want all the wires to be all over the place, because the PC was over here and the controller and wheel was here and the monitor's over there, and you got wires running everywhere. That was always a bother. Every time I went to move the racing rig, I have to rewire it and try to make sure everything's plugged in the right place and nothing's going to get snagged. This is where I began thinking about what I wanted to design and the steps I needed to take. One of the things I had to consider when I started my design was, what kind of tools do I have available to build this with? My list of tools that I had at the time was a saber saw, a circular saw, a rechargeable drill, and a belt sander. So the decision to use wood as my primary building material was based on what can I actually build with. And that was the reason I went with wood. One of the properties that I didn't consider that came with building with wood was how it was going to affect the performance and feel of my rig. The previous rig I had was made with very solid square steel tubing, welded joints, and I thought that was great. But when I sat down in my finished rig, I started to use it, and I realized how little vibration there was in the rig. In fact, the problem I had before of my mouse being vibrated right off the mouse pad and the keyboard occasionally falling off the keyboard shelf was gone. And I went, wow, that's really interesting. The next thing I found was that my lap times were starting to get faster. They would drop off in time. I was, what the heck? This piqued my curiosity. I wanted to know, why am I going faster now? Where's this coming from? We all want to know where that nth degree of speed comes from. And can I get more? Well, I figured out that because the rig wasn't vibrating as much, I was actually feeling more of the feedback. And that made a huge difference. When I started to pay attention to it, I was able to feel what was going on more in the car and adjust my driving and my setups to go just that little bit quicker and more consistently.
Excellent. That's something that you wouldn't even really have assumed beforehand, which is, that in itself is an interesting journey.
Oh yeah, it was like, oh wow, holy moly.
You're feeling more of the car and less of the, dare I say, the shake.
Yeah, the shake and rattle I used to get from the force feedback on the metal rig was gone.
Bonus features of the design. There we go. So let's quickly talk about any design features you want to talk about. And also, you said it was the V1 design, and I know from our talk that there's up to V5 now?
Yep, I'm up to version 5, but version 1, 2, 3, and 4 were built for PC simulators. They have a place for the computer tower to sit, as well as the monitor and the keyboard and the mouse and shifters and whatever else we happen to want. Version 5 was designed as a console gaming rig. Doesn't have a place for keyboard and mouse and such, because you don't need that in the console games. Doesn't have a place to put your PC, because you would normally put it in front of your TV. But what's happened is people have seen it, and they use PCs, and they want a version that will work with their PCs based on the version 5 architecture. Well, I've created a very modular design that I can configure it for a console gamer, or configure it for a PC gamer, and whatever their needs. It's funny, it started out as a DIY rig, and now it's become quite a kit based on the requests from you guys. And the features that I'm including in these rigs are features that you guys want. So I need your help. We can develop this and take DIY to the extreme. So these features will be what you need. Very modular. Things can be put on left hand, right hand, whatever we want to design it for. So we get to design it, not just me, but you and me.
Honestly amazing. I mean, as someone who also has a do-it-yourself rig, I, for one, am very, very interested in possibly upgrading my setup with this, with a 3D speed unit.
I just want to say thanks for having me here, and thanks for all the inspiration from the guys, and I'll see you on the track.